You were never meant to breathe the way you do now. That shallow, restless pattern in your chest is not natural. It's conditioned, weakened, almost engineered to disconnect you from your true center of power. The samurai knew this, and they buried the knowledge deep within their most guarded practices. Because samurai Tanden breathing was not just a technique, it was a weapon, a dangerous one, a method capable of transforming an ordinary body into something grounded, explosive, and almost unshakable. And yet today, this knowledge has been diluted, misunderstood, or completely ignored. Why? Because once you learn how to control your center, you become difficult to control in every other way. I'm going to be direct with you. Right now, your body is leaking power. Every shallow breath you take keeps your nervous system in a fragmented, unstable loop. Your shoulders rise, your chest tightens, your mind races, and your center collapses. This is not just bad posture or poor breathing habits. This is a systemic weakness that affects how you move, how you react, and how much force you can generate under pressure. The samurai observed that most people live above their center, disconnected from the lower abdomen where real stability is born. They called this lower field the Tanden, a point just below the navel where gravity, intention, and breath converge into a single axis of control. And here's the part most people never realize. When your breath never reaches this center, your body never fully stabilizes. Your spine floats without true support, your movements lack cohesion, and your strength becomes inconsistent. You might train harder, lift heavier, move faster, but without activating this internal anchor, you are building on instability. The ancient warriors didn't train harder than you, they trained smarter, beginning not with the limbs, but with the breath that controls everything beneath the surface. Modern science is finally starting to confirm what they discovered centuries ago. The diaphragm is not just a breathing muscle, it is a regulator of internal pressure, a stabilizer of the spine, and a key player in how your nervous system shifts between chaos and control. When you breathe correctly into the Tanden, you are not just inhaling air, you are creating a pressurized system inside your body, one that locks your structure into place and allows force to travel efficiently through your muscles. Without this pressure, your strength dissipates. With it, your movements become sharp, precise, and powerful. So ask yourself this: how much of your potential have you been leaving unused simply because no one taught you how to breathe from your center? How many times have you felt unstable, tense, or slow without realizing the root cause was hidden in something as basic as your breath? This is where everything begins to change, because once you reconnect to the Tanden, you are no longer moving randomly. You are moving from a controlled, grounded core that dictates every action your body takes. And once that switch is activated, there is no going back to unconscious breathing. This is not relaxation. This is control. This is structure. This is the foundation of explosive power that has been quietly hidden in plain sight. And now you're about to see exactly why losing your center has been costing you more than you ever realize. You think your weakness comes from lack of strength, from not training hard enough, from not pushing your limits. But that's the illusion. The real problem is deeper, quieter, and far more dangerous. You are disconnected from your center, and because of that, your entire system is unstable. Every time you move, every time you react under pressure, your body is compensating instead of commanding. The samurai identified this as a fatal flaw, not a minor inefficiency. Fatal. Because in a moment of stress, the body does not rise to your expectations. It collapses to your level of internal organization. And if your breath is scattered, your center is lost. Your power disappears exactly when you need it most. Look closely at how most people exist today. Their breathing sits high in the chest, fast, irregular, constantly signaling low-level danger to the brain. This keeps the nervous system trapped in a semi-activated state. Never fully calm, never fully focused. Your shoulders tighten, your jaw locks, your thoughts speed up, and beneath all of that, your core becomes soft, unpressurized, unstable. You may not notice it in calm situations, but the moment intensity rises, during physical exertion, confrontation, or even mental stress, everything starts to break apart. Your balance shifts unpredictably, your reactions slow down, Your strength feels inconsistent. That is not coincidence. That is the cost of breathing without a center. The samurai understood that the Tanden was not just a physical point, it was the command hub of the body. When disconnected from it, you lose more than stability, you lose efficiency. Force generated in your legs fails to transfer cleanly through your torso. Your spine lacks a solid axis, so energy leaks at every joint. Imagine trying to fire a cannon from a moving platform. That's what your body's doing right now. Unstable base, scattered output, wasted potential, and the more you try to compensate with muscle tension, the worse it becomes because tension without structure only creates rigidity, not power. There's also a neurological cost that most people never consider. When your breathing remains shallow and disconnected from the lower abdomen, your vagus nerve, the key regulator of calm focus and internal control, stays understimulated. This means your brain struggles to switch into a state of precision under pressure. Instead of sharp, controlled responses, you get hesitation, overreaction, or freeze. This is why you can feel strong one moment and completely off the next. It's not randomness, it's instability at the level of your nervous system. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You cannot fix this by thinking harder, training more, or pushing through it. If the foundation is wrong, everything built on top of it will eventually fail. The samurai didn't start with weapons or techniques. They started by correcting the breath because they knew that whoever controls the breath controls the body, and whoever controls the body controls the outcome. So, the question becomes unavoidable. How long are you going to operate in a state where your own body is working against you? How many opportunities, how much strength, how much precision have you already lost because your center was never activated? This is the problem most people never identify, which is why they never solve it. But now you see it, and once you see it, you can't ignore it. Because in the next step, you're going to understand exactly what is happening inside your body, and why this ancient method works with a level of precision that modern training still struggles to replicate. Now we move into the layer most people never reach, the mechanism. This is where the myth collapses and the real power reveals itself. Because samurai tanden breathing is not mystical, it is mechanical, neurological, and brutally precise. What you are about to understand is how a simple shift in breath location can rewire your entire system from the inside out. At the center of this lies a structure you've been ignoring your entire life, the diaphragm. Not just a breathing muscle, but a pressure regulator, a stabilizer, and a hidden amplifier of force. When you inhale correctly into the lower abdomen, the tanden, you are not relaxing. You are creating intra-abdominal pressure, a sealed internal cylinder that supports your spine and locks your structure into place. Think of your body like a pressurized container. If the pressure is weak or leaking, any force you try to generate collapses inward. But when the diaphragm descends and the abdominal wall expands in all directions, not just forward, but laterally and even into the lower back, you create a 360-degree expansion. This is what the samurai trained relentlessly. This pressure doesn't just stabilize you, it connects you. Your hips, your spine, your shoulders all begin to operate as a single coordinated unit. Force no longer dissipates randomly, it transfers cleanly, efficiently, explosively. This is why a smaller grounded warrior could generate shocking power against a larger opponent. It wasn't size, it was pressure and structure. Now layer in the nervous system. When you breathe into the tanden slowly and with control, you stimulate the vagus nerve, a critical pathway that shifts your body out of chaos and into precision. This is where modern neuroscience aligns perfectly with ancient practice. The vagus nerve acts like a switch between panic and control. When activated through deep diaphragmatic breathing, it lowers unnecessary tension, sharpens focus, and allows your brain to coordinate movement with far greater efficiency. This is not relaxation in the passive sense. It is controlled readiness, a state where your body is calm but fully prepared to explode into action without hesitation. There is also a deeper layer involving motor unit recruitment. When your core is pressurized and stable, your brain gains confidence in the structure of your body. That confidence allows it to recruit more muscle fibers more quickly and with better synchronization. Without stability, the brain limits output to prevent injury. With stability, it releases the brakes. This is why proper breathing can instantly increase strength without any additional training. You are not becoming stronger, you are removing the internal restrictions that were holding your strength back. And here is the critical detail most people miss: timing. It is not enough to breathe deeply. The samurai synchronize breath with intent. Inhale to create pressure, hold to stabilize, release strategically during movement to direct force. This creates a rhythm between breath and action that turns your body into a coordinated system rather than a collection of separate parts. Every strike, every movement, every shift in balance begins from the center and radiates outward. So understand this clearly: you are not just learning to breathe differently, you are learning to generate internal pressure, to stabilize your structure, to regulate your nervous system, and to unlock dormant strength, all through a single precise mechanism. This is why the technique was guarded, because once you master this, your body no longer behaves like it used to. It becomes organized, efficient, and dangerously effective under pressure. And in the next step, you will learn exactly how to apply it, down to the smallest detail most people overlook. Now you are ready for the protocol, and this is where most people fail. Not because it is complex, but because they underestimate how precise it must be. The samurai did not practice breathing casually. They engineered it, refined it, repeated it until it became inseparable from movement itself. So you will follow this exactly, not loosely, not approximately, because small errors here destroy the entire mechanism. First, you must locate the tanden, not intellectually, but physically. Place your awareness 2 to 3 centimeters below your navel, slightly inward, as if there is a dense sphere sitting deep inside your lower abdomen. Do not visualize lightly, feel it. Press into it mentally as if your attention itself has weight. If you cannot feel this point, your breath will never anchor correctly. Now inhale, but not the way you are used to. Your chest must remain quiet, almost still. The movement begins low, expanding outward in all directions. Your lower abdomen pushes forward, yes, but that is only one part. Your sides widen, your lower back subtly expands, and your pelvic floor responds with a slight downward pressure. This is 360-degree expansion, and if you only feel it in the front, you are doing it wrong. The diaphragm must descend like a piston, not lift the chest like a shallow pump. As you inhale, imagine you are compressing air into that sphere in your tanden, increasing pressure with every second. This inhale should last around 4 to 6 seconds, controlled, silent, deliberate. At the peak of the inhale, you do not relax. You stabilize. This is the hidden phase. You hold the pressure for 2 to 3 seconds, not by clenching randomly, but by sealing the system. Your abdominal wall remains expanded, your spine feels supported from within, and your entire body becomes still, grounded, heavy. This is where structure is forged. If you lose tension here, even slightly, the entire chain collapses. Most people rush past this phase, which is why they never access real power. The samurai lived in this moment of internal compression. Now the exhale, and this is where intent enters. You do not just release the air, you direct it. The exhale is slow, controlled through the nose or slightly parted lips, lasting 5 to 8 seconds. As you release, maintain partial tension in the core. Do not let the structure collapse completely. Think of it as decompressing under control, like releasing pressure from a sealed chamber without losing integrity. This trains your body to stay organized even while transitioning between states. Over time, this becomes the bridge between stillness and explosive action. Once you understand the static version, you begin integration. Every movement starts from the tanden. Before you move, you inhale and pressurize. As you initiate action, whether it's standing, striking, lifting, or even turning, you maintain that pressure, releasing only at the exact moment force is transferred. This synchronization is what transforms ordinary motion into explosive, efficient power. Without it, your movements remain disconnected. With it, everything becomes unified. There is one more detail that most people ignore, and it is critical. Your mind must stay anchored in the tanden throughout the entire cycle. The moment your attention drifts to your chest, your shoulders, or external distractions, the system weakens. This is not just physical training, it is neurological conditioning. You are teaching your brain where control originates, and once that pathway is reinforced, Your body will begin to default to this pattern automatically, even under stress. Do not rush this. Do not dilute it. This protocol looks simple, but it is unforgiving. Done correctly, it will change how you stand, how you move, how you generate force. Done incorrectly, it becomes just another breathing exercise with no real impact. The difference lies in precision, awareness, and repetition. And in the next phase, you will see exactly how quickly this begins to transform your body and why most people quit before they ever reach that point. Now you want results, measurable change, something you can feel. Not philosophy, not theory. Good, because this is where samurai Tanden breathing becomes impossible to ignore. The transformation does not take months to begin. It starts the moment you execute the protocol correctly, but the timeline is ruthless. It rewards precision and punishes inconsistency. Within the first 24 hours, something subtle but undeniable shifts. Your posture begins to reorganize itself without conscious effort. You stand differently, as if your weight has dropped lower into your body. Movements feel quieter, less scattered. You may even notice your mind slowing down slightly, not in a dull way, but in a controlled, deliberate rhythm. This is the initial activation of diaphragmatic control and vagal tone. Your system is starting to stabilize, but it is fragile. One return to shallow breathing and the effect fades. This is why most people dismiss it. They never hold the state long enough to recognize its potential. By day 3 to 7, the changes become more physical, more undeniable. Your core begins to feel dense, not just tight, but pressurized, like there is substance behind your movements. Balance improves. You recover faster between actions. Under stress, something interesting happens. You don't spike as quickly. Situations that used to trigger tension now feel slower, more manageable, almost as if you have more time to respond. This is not imagination. Your nervous system is recalibrating. The vagus nerve is being stimulated repeatedly, teaching your body that control is the default, not chaos. At the same time, your motor patterns begin to reorganize. Force travels more cleanly through your body. You waste less energy. You feel more efficient without trying to be. At the 2-week mark, this is where the separation begins, the point where those who commit start to diverge from those who quit. Your strength output changes, not dramatically in appearance, but unmistakably in sensation. When you push, lift, or move explosively, there is a solidity behind it that wasn't there before. Your body feels connected, like a single unit rather than separate parts working independently. Reaction speed improves, not because you are faster, but because there is less internal delay. The signal from your brain reaches a body that is already organized and ready to respond. This is what the samurai train for, not just strength, but immediacy of action. By day 30, if you have maintained precision, the change becomes structural. This is no longer something you do. It becomes something you are. Your default breathing shifts toward the tanden without conscious effort. Your posture stabilizes naturally. Under pressure, physical or psychological, you do not collapse into chaos. You drop into your center automatically. This is where explosive power becomes accessible at will, not forced, not strained, but released from a stable base that supports it. And here is the part that most people underestimate. Your presence changes. Others may not understand why, but they feel it. You appear grounded, controlled, difficult to disrupt. But let me be clear, this timeline is not guaranteed. It is conditional. Every benefit depends on one thing: precision. If you rush the inhale, if you lose the 360-dart expansion, if you let your chest take over, if your mind drifts away from the tanden, you break the chain. And when the chain breaks, the results disappear just as quickly as they came. This is why so many people touch the edge of this method and then lose it. They lack the discipline to maintain the details. So now the question is no longer whether this works. The evidence is in the experience, and the experience comes faster than you expect. The real question is whether you can sustain the level of control required to make it permanent. Because in the final step, you will understand why most people never reach mastery and why this technique remains, even today, quietly hidden in plain sight. This is where the truth turns uncomfortable, because by now you already know this works. You felt the logic, you understand the mechanism, and you've seen the timeline. So if this method is so effective, Why isn't everyone using it? Why isn't it taught everywhere, embedded into every training system, every discipline, every performance model? The answer is not ignorance, it's resistance. Because samurai Tanden breathing demands something most people refuse to give: absolute precision, sustained awareness, and discipline under repetition. There is no shortcut here, no distraction, no half effort, no casual execution, and that alone filters out the majority. But there is something deeper, something rarely said out loud. Once you truly anchor your breath in the Tanden, you change how you respond to pressure, not just physical, but psychological. You become harder to destabilize, harder to manipulate, harder to rush into reaction. Your decisions slow down just enough to become deliberate. Your body no longer betrays you under stress. And in a world that thrives on distraction, urgency, and emotional reactivity, that kind of control is quietly threatening. Not in a dramatic, conspiratorial sense, but in a practical one. A person who is grounded, internally stable, and capable of generating controlled force is not easily influenced. That is why this knowledge has always existed on the edges, passed through disciplined circles, rarely simplified for mass consumption. Now let's address the risk, because yes, there is one. If you perform this technique incorrectly, repeatedly reinforcing shallow patterns while believing you are practicing correctly, you will build a false sense of control. Your chest will dominate, your diaphragm will remain underutilized, and your body will adapt to the wrong pattern even more deeply. This is worse than not practicing at all, because now you believe you have the skill when you don't. That illusion will fail you at the exact moment you need stability the most. This is why the samurai approached this method with seriousness, not casual curiosity. Precision was not optional, it was survival. So here is your challenge, and it is not symbolic. For the next 7 days, you will practice this protocol with full attention. Every inhale anchored in the Tanden, every expansion controlled in all directions, every hold stable, every exhale deliberate. You will observe your posture, your reactions, your movement, your state under pressure. No shortcuts, no assumptions. You will test it in real conditions, when you are tired, when you are stressed, when your focus is challenged, because that is where the truth reveals itself. And then ask yourself one final question, not whether the technique works, you will already know that. The real question is whether you are capable of maintaining it when it becomes uncomfortable, repetitive, and demanding, because that is the dividing line. Not talent, not strength, not intelligence, but discipline applied to something deceptively simple. You now have access to what was once guarded, not a myth, not a philosophy, but a functional system that can reorganize how your body generates power and how your mind responds to pressure. What you do with it is no longer hidden, it is entirely on you. If this exploration of the samurai's hidden power has changed the way you perceive your own internal strength, please subscribe to our channel and like this video. We are dedicated to uncovering the ancient disciplines that history has tried to bury. Forge your center and cultivate your future. The next gateway to mastery will open soon.